Today I'm going to be showing you how to create a Firebase project using Xcode and Swift. So to start off, you're just going to want to go ahead and open up Xcode and then create a new Xcode project. This can be application. This is the same as a single view application. It's just I just updated my version of Xcode, so they changed the name to app. So you go ahead and click next, and I'll just call this CSE 335 tutorial. Click next and create project. Alright, then from here you're going to want to actually just minimize Xcode and then go over to Chrome or whatever web browser you might be using. And then basically to get this you just need to Google Firebase, and then this is the sort of landing page they have, and for this you need to be signed into basically any Google account will work. And then once you're here you can just click go to console and then go ahead and click create a project. So enter your project name. For this I'll just call it CSE 335 tutorial and click continue. And this is if you want to enable Google Analytics for this project. For this project I'm not going to enable it, but if you need any of these services you're free to do so. And go ahead and click create project. And I'll cut this because it can take a little while, so yeah. Alright, I just cut it because that took a little bit, but so now you're just going to want to go ahead and click continue once your project is ready. Alright, then from here this is kind of just your project dashboard and overview. So to actually add the functionalities into your iOS application, you're going to want to go ahead and click on the iOS button. And then for this iOS bundle ID, you're going to want to go back into Xcode to find this. And this can be found right here, which is called the bundle identifier. And to pull up this screen, you just need to click on the name of your project next to the Xcode project. And then go ahead and just copy that, go back to Chrome and paste that in there. You can also give your app a nickname or an App Store ID if you plan on uploading it to the App Store, but I'm not going to do that for this tutorial. Go ahead and click Register App. Alright, now from here you need to download the Google Service Info plist file, so go ahead and click this button right here. And then this will just be put into your downloads folder. But if you have multiple Xcode projects, it's usually good to move this location from your downloads folder and into whatever folder that your project is currently in. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go over to downloads and basically just drag this over into here. And because I already have a couple of plist files in here, I'm just going to go ahead and open this up and then go ahead and rename this to just get rid of that extension. And there we go. Alright, now from here we're going to want to go back into Xcode and then pull up the Finder right here basically. So here, I'll exit out of this. Pull up the Finder right here so we're able to drag the Google Service Info plist file into our actual Xcode project like so. And then from here you just want to click finish. And now the Google Service Info plist is going to be part of your project. Alright, so now we can minimize this and go back to Chrome. From here we can click the next step. You can see they kind of had the diagram telling you to do what I just showed you, but so now we can go ahead and click next. Now we need to add the Firebase SDK. This is basically just going to allow you to have the certain library functions in Swift to be able to run Firebase type commands and use their framework to access their database and user authentication, as well as the rest of their services. So for here you're going to want to go ahead and open up your terminal. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. Alright, and then from here it does show you kind of the list of commands you should follow. So you're going to want to create a pod file if you don't have one, but before doing this you're going to want to cd into whatever folder that it is currently in. So we'll cd into CSE 335 tutorial. Alright, so now that I'm in there, I can run pod init, and what this will basically do is create a pod file that I can edit to add specific frameworks. Alright, so now that the pod file is initialized, we can go ahead and open up in our Finder, and then we'll see this pod file is now initialized here. So we're going to want to open this up, and we're going to be able to edit this. For platform, I'm just going to specify iOS 13 or greater, but if you were to just leave that commented out, it would sort of pick a target build for you. This use frameworks is important. This will basically say we want to use the pods that are going to be listed under here. Now I'm going to show you guys where to find the pods, just because for various projects you might need to include different pods in your pod file. So yeah, like it says right here, this little link is where they have all the available pods. So we can just go ahead and copy and paste it over like that. And then this is a list of basically all the pods you can use for this build. I'll make sure to include Firebase Auth and Firebase Firestore, this is basically covering user authentication, and then this is going to be covering Firestore, which is Firebase's cloud storage system. So to do this, I'm going to want to basically just copy this like so, and then open up the pod file and do that, and basically copy this one like this. Now, although I'm including these two, there is one more I need to add, which is just to include the pod Firebase in general. So for here, I'll just do pod, and then the single quote, type in Firebase, and that should be good. So I'll just Command S to save this pod file, and then I can go ahead and exit out of that. And that was from a previous project I was working on. So from now, we can go back into the terminal and run pod install. And now this is basically going to add the dependencies to your Xcode project. So it's still installing, and it should finish up here really quick. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of Xcode because we're not going to want to actually work on this project anymore. We're going to want to work on a new workspace that this pod file is actually creating for us right now. So I'll go ahead and quit out of that. Alright, so it looks like everything checked out alright, so I'll go ahead and click next right here. And then it says to connect Firebase when your app starts up, add the initialization code below and to your main app delegate class. So also before doing this, I would like to add that it is very important that when you do this now, see how I created this CSE 335 tutorial workspace. You're going to need to do this. If you're going to need to open this and now work on this, because if you were to do it on here, the Firebase frameworks would not be available to you. So you're going to want to go ahead and open this up now. And then just for reference, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what this is. So you're going to want to import Firebase like so. And then inside of your did finish launching windows with options, you're going to want to add Firebase app.configure. So I'll go back into Xcode and do that right now as soon as it's done indexing. Actually, I think I might be able to edit it while it is indexing. So you're just going to want to go ahead and open up your appdelegate.swift file. Go right underneath this import UI kit, and you should be able to type in import and then Firebase, and it should autocomplete to something like that, so you'll just go ahead and click OK. And then in this method right here, did finish launching with options, you can just go underneath this little commented out section and then type in Firebase dot configure, or I think it was Firebase.configure. Let me check. Might be Firebase app.configure. Alright, so yeah, so just type in Firebase app.configure, and then you can just Command S it to save, and then you can just go ahead and run your application. Even though there's nothing in the storyboard yet, this will basically just make that initial connection with Firebase's servers and your application. So I'm going to go ahead and build it. And then while it's building, I'm going to go ahead and go over here and click next since we completed this step. And then it says you're ready to start building with Firebase. Follow this setup guide for iOS where you'll find the details about working with SDKs, or click continue. Alright, so now that I continued to the console, this is basically where you're going to find a lot of other stuff, which I'll go into more detail in the next tutorial, or another TA will. But yeah, as you can see right here, it's still building, so it is going to take a while because it is importing a lot of different frameworks. So I'll check back in with you guys once it's a little bit closer to building, so this isn't too long of a video. Is launched and the simulator opens, which is right here, that you will see once the app successfully opens and starts to run, which might be a little slow. You'll see messages up here basically saying that Firebase has been connected and activated. So it's basically making that successful connection. You also see some analytics things here, but since we decided not to use analytics, it's basically going to be not connected to that. But yeah, this concludes the first tutorial, where basically we just walked you through the initial setup of how to get Firebase into your application, and then in the next one we'll dive into using Firebase Firestore, which is their cloud database storage system, and their user authentication system.